Everybody. So I have not done any preparation. Just going to do this off the cuff. So we are 68. The USA is looking at the 68th quadration, which is the same as the 23rd. Thank God, because I can't find my 68th quadration. I'm like, where on earth would I have put it? Anyway, obviously, I was looking at it before. Last time we did a reading for the United States. So oh my God. And isn't this just so, like, it just makes so much more sense now, but we're displacing the Six of Spades. According to Robert Camp, when he says we're displacing something, he's using the mundane spread, but who owns the real estate? So, hey, soul knowledge. So here we are down here, and the Six of Spades sits there in the mundane spread, but the Nine of Spades owns the real estate. So is something coming to an end? Yeah, and Six of Spades is karma. You got that. And I listened to David Wilcock yesterday, and hi, Graham Heddle, new watcher from Scotland. Oh, what time is it there? And when's your birthday? And how do I say your name? Is it Graham? Graham. Anyway, he said something about taking on the karma of the deep state. And I'm like, well, definitely I got from Jesus the other day, like, what am I doing here? Like, I was just losing my perspective. And he's like, you're doing what I was doing there. You know, you're there to uplift and whatever that takes. So, yeah, so we're dealing with the hurricanes, weather manipulation, all kinds of stuff. So I'm sorry, but my politics is probably going to show itself. I try really hard to keep that, on the down low, but it kind of seeps out. But anyway, I'll just try to keep it more general. And I usually end up talking about what's our internal work as we're going through this. But anyway, so what I do is I look at the Mercury cards. Okay, Graham, midnight, Three of Diamonds, right on. Okay, so on either side of the Jack of Diamonds, we have this year the Two of Clubs and the Four of Diamonds. As of August 25th, we have been in our Venus period. So we are, what's the date today? Is it the 14th? Well, it's the 15th in Scotland, which means we're on the last day of the Venus period, and then we're going into Mars. And just the energetic that I get is like, where things have been moving kind of quickly now, it's going to seem like there's a driven quality and just a like, whoa, hang on, it's going to feel like, it feels like a more grounded moving forward. Like, I don't know. Are you feeling what I'm feeling? Something is going to be moving forward in a way that kind of won't leave anything out. And it's like a Saturn energy that feels like it's going fast, if that makes sense. But anyway, the Six of Spades, I think that's directly related to our days as Atlantis. I think that a lot of us reincarnated here because we are resolving the karma of Atlantis. And there's this book I highly recommend, came out not too long ago, called A Hypnotist's Journey Through Atlantis by Sarah Bresman Cosme. And she wrote it for the purpose of activating readers' memories. And man, did it ever. I had a whole bunch of memories come up. And when I left that body and I kind of met her in this timeless zone, there was this resolution outside time for both of us, where we came to understand that there was so much more of a severe bifurcation between Lemuria and Atlantis. The masculine and the feminine were completely separate. And even though we think of ourselves as polarized, it was nothing like it was then. It was like, kind of like China, It's like you couldn't even think spiritual thoughts without being, censored or whatever. But we that incarnated from Lemuria to Atlantis, we knew. And it was really depressing because some of us chose not to remember because it was too painful. But now we have the United States, and I think, I don't know, all over the world, we have an integration of masculine and feminine. We have an integration of Lemuria and Atlantis to a degree that certainly wasn't true then. And it really helped me put things in perspective. Like, for example, massage therapy can be deducted from your insurance. It's like there's this understanding that the alternative healing practices have merit. Like that's just one example. So, anyway, what I do is I look at these two cards on either side and I see that they're having a conversation. So, two of clubs would be our descending Mercury card, meaning that there may be a lot more conversation going on and not just arguments. What I'm noticing is that there is a completely different tone to conversations that are going on. And it's definitely, hey, look at how you're talking to yourself. What's your self talk? I look at going the other direction. To the right and up is the ascending line, and each is having a conversation. So it's having a conversation with the Four of Diamonds, which is, do you have enough? And we talked about this about a month ago when I did my other reading for the United States. Are you prepping? Do you have your basics? Do you feel like you have a foundation under you? And that can extend to the whole prepping thing. And I'm not really a prepper, but I think about it a little bit. And then after this whole hurricane thing, everybody's thinking about it. I'm sure generator sales are going through the roof. But it's important to take responsibility for our own security and stability. And so then the Venus, which we're finishing out just now, the descending, we jump up here and we have the Seven of Spades, which is the home of the Jack of Spades. So there's a spiritual initiation here in looking at how things maybe haven't worked, maybe realizing that faith is the way forward, trust, manifesting. There is such an energy of sovereignty about that Seven of Spades because it has a karmic relationship to the King of Diamonds, which is about sovereignty and integrity and taking full responsibility for ourselves. And man, have I ever just been driven into a manifesting mode. I pulled out this old book from the 70s. Actually, I lost my copy, so I just ordered another one off of thriftbooks.com, which is a great site for really cheap books. And there's a very specific manifesting method in there that has worked for just thousands of people to heal and correct anything you can imagine, from depression to a knee injury, to your finances, to your partner who's an alcoholic. I mean, this method works, and I've been using it. And that Seven of Spades to me says, that's how we got Hurricane Milton to just go, because there was a lot of mass meditation going on. And I think people were realizing we have the power. It's not a last resort. It is sometimes, right? Praying is a last resort. I'm really desperate. Now I have to ask God for help. It should be our first resort because we're such powerful manifestors. And when I see that Seven of Spades, that's what I think. But what do you think? What do you think that Seven of Spades? So if it's descending Venus, and that's what we're going through now, and maybe the Seven of Spades is difficulty running into, maybe we haven't been doing it right. Okay, so this is a little bit of a side conversation, but an example. So we went to a film festival and up in Montana a couple weeks ago, and we saw this movie Common Ground. And it was about regenerative soil and farming practices and the importance of not tilling the soil and how it allows a ground cover vegetation to grow that holds in the moisture and the nitrogen and the carbon. And it kept talking about how carbon is good. CO2 is good. It's good. Plants need it. They eat it. And I was like, yeah. Anyway, if there had been more soil regeneration practices where there has been flooding, maybe it would have been a little bit less severe. And that Seven of Spades is kind of an example of correcting how we've been doing something. So maybe in your life too, you're being really challenged. You're kind of running up against a dead end, and it's because you're doing it the same way, and you need to try something different. And I've been seeing people leaping off the cliff of trust and faith and starting a new business or moving out and not knowing where you're going next, but knowing you're going to travel. And it's really, if we take the path of faith and trust with whatever it is that we're leaping to, I think we're going to be rewarded. So, what's the ascending Venus card that can inform us about if we take the leap of faith and have the spiritual initiation about our sovereignty and power, which we're claiming through manifesting? The Four of Diamonds here, or Four of Hearts. So, it's another four. We will achieve a true sense of security and safety. That's all about making your inner child feel safe, that Four of Hearts. The fours are the cards that informed me that I realized, oh, this is a homeopathic universe. And people are usually thrown through all the readings that I've been given over the last umpteen years. I saw that people were given instability and insecurity when a four showed up. And in fact, the Mystic Test book, the really, really old book written in the late 1800s, they look at fours as really, really bad. And I think in the Chinese tradition, fours are very bad. And I just am kind of putting this together and thinking maybe a four just means you have to become more self-sufficient. You can't count on what's around you. You have to source it from within. That's what I've observed. And if you experience it as a protection card and it gives you security, fantastic. And I have sensed that for the United States, that despite all the stuff we're going through, I feel that there's a level of protection happening. Angelic protection and, you know, the good ETs that are helping, watching, you know, if you're into that kind of thing. Okay, so looking forward, what is our Mars period going to be about? Oh, Graham has a comment. Can you explain the ascending and descending significations for me? I'm learning from the camp books, and he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I kind of came up with it. Sorry if I'm being a nuisance and interrupting your flow. Honey, I just wish I could hear you talk, because can you explain the ascending and descending significance for me? I'm learning from the camp books, and he doesn't go into this method. Sorry if I'm being a nuisance and interrupting your flow. Sorry if that sounds more Irish. Never a nuisance. This is a Q&A channel, and I thrive on the Q&A. So for you is the Three of Diamonds. Let's go to the mundane spread. So I discovered this. My guides literally just showed me through doing tons and tons and tons of readings, and they whispered it to me. They're like, you can go in the other direction. I was like, la, 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 that's too much. It's too much. Next lifetime. And then I figured out that it really is true, because I was reading for my husband, who is the Three of Clubs. And he comes from a really, really, oh, thank you. That's a good Irish. Let's go get a pint. Okay, the Three of Clubs. I call this Queen of Diamonds. So this would be outside his hand, right? Because it's two over in the other direction. And I call it the Truth Teller because it's Saturn Mercury. She will tell the difficult truth. And I was like, that's your role in the family. And Venus's family. El Rey, hi, yes, I'm back. I missed you. He's the truth teller. And I'm like, okay, this is when you're ascending. Maybe. So I experimented with every single card in his hand, and it was true. So with the Three of Diamonds, your Mercury, the Ace of Spades, the tendency towards secrecy, it becomes your moon card in an ascending flow. Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars. So the Ace of Spades would be, I have the secret formula in my hip pocket, and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. The moon is always hidden. I'm not saying that because it's the Ace of Spades. The moon is always hidden, but it's like, it's this confidence that you have because you've kind of figured out what's beyond the veil. You've gamed it out. There's a strategic mind. Then your ascending Mercury becomes how you communicate to people in order to lift them up. And the Five of Clubs is, hey, open your mind. Have you considered this? And I'm so curious. And would you tell me? It's like a listening energy. Make sure you hit the like button. That's so kind. Yes, it helps the algorithm. Okay, your ascending Venus would be the Ten of Spades, which means you love to be really busy. Busy, busy, busy. You love it. And if anybody knows who this famous figure is, who is the Three of Diamonds, this ascending hand fits him so perfectly. Okay, ascending Mars. This means that when you are moving, when you're doing career stuff or taking action or strategizing out practically, the Queen of Clubs, there's a nurturing side to that, and there's also an intuitive energy about that card. Okay, so you might ask, oh, I know a Queen of Clubs. I'm her Mars card. Well, she is your ascending Mars card. You are her descending. So what that means is you are the more difficult lesson for Mars, but she's the more positive lesson for your Mars. Something like, oh, okay, I can, what's the word? I can aspire. I can aspire to what I see with her. So that's an example. And then you would continue on up here. And okay, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And then the next 4 cards would be this. So you just go in reverse direction. And if there's any question about the direction, you just follow the order of the cards in the perfect spread. So what's the Mars conversation as of October 16th that Americans will be having when it comes to our drive, our passion, what we get angry about, how are we going to achieve something practical? And of course, it's election season, so woo! So it's like a path to spiritual attainment, yes. And it also shows up as this is how you serve. This is the nature of your service personality. Oh, that's really good to know. And it's an uneven development. We all have uneven development. I mean, you're going to dive down here and deal with this Jack of Hearts in Saturn. Sometimes, too, you're going to be like, you're nothing like Trump. You might not know that you are. Well, yeah, because they say a lot of shit about him, but it's so much of it is just shit. But anyway, yeah, you might have to dip down here and deal with this Jack of Hearts and said, oh, I said yes again when I should have said no because I'm caretaking. You know, I'm doing the Jesus thing. But anyway, they also have conversations with each other. So your Saturn, Jack of Hearts, will have a conversation with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the 3 of Hearts. When you get the lesson of the Jack of Hearts, which is maybe letting go, learning to really love in what is a self-sacrificing way, what is the higher love, and you really get that and take the ego out of it. The 3 of Hearts is really kind of it's more of a non-attachment card. Like it's about dating around, shopping for a used car. They're so similar, aren't they? You're like, I'm not going to commit. I'm going to get the lay of the land, going to get to know the people I'm involved with here. So that would be an example of how those 2 cards have a conversation. So going back to the United States, we are going to be stepping into the Jack of Clubs as an ascending Mars, which is very exciting because Jack of Clubs is karma to Jack of Diamonds. It's all about innovation, ingenuity, irresponsibility, non-attachment. It's very Uranian. Both Jacks are very Uranian. And what's the other Mars? It's the pinnacle, the 5 of Diamonds. So descending 5 of Diamonds, sitting in the pinnacle, is about big financial changes, big values changes. I think after what we've seen go on, there's already been a massive values shift for everybody. And my daughter, who is very liberal-minded, very loving, an amazing person, I love her to death, she said, did you hear about that FEMA money that they said they were out of money and then they sent like however billion, million, whatever to Israel? Did you hear about that? And I was like, mm-hmm. And then she calls my son and she goes, what do you think about the possibility that there's weather manipulation going on? Very exciting. Very exciting. So that 5 of Diamonds, change of values, change of putting things in perspective, what's really important. So for your own life, in this coming Mars period, you might be thinking, what do I really want? And the more difficult aspect of this 5 of Diamonds is, what should I want? What should be important to me? And that can be kind of hard. So you just give it time. It's a whole 52-day period. So complaining comes easily with a 5. There's a restlessness. We feel a need for change. And complaining just typically happens. Oh, my hair is so fuzzy. I've had it up. I'm going to put it back up because I'm hot. So make a column of all of your complaints. And then on the opposite side, say, well, if I hate the fact that I hate wearing pantyhose, I love being able to not wear pantyhose and make money. I hate having to get up at 7:30 every morning. I wish I could sleep in. I have a job where I don't have to get up so early. I'm in control of my schedule. I want to be in control of my time. So the complaint will inform you about what it is that you want. So don't worry about complaining in this upcoming period. I think like what my guides are showing me is like you're going through this box of little like recipe cards and you're like that and just, yep, I want this one. No, I'm going to throw that one out. We're going to go through a sorting process of what's important to us, what we really value. So then the ascending result is the Jack of Clubs, which is fun, inspiration, creative ideas. It's like, okay, I'm going to change the way I make money. Like I've made a really huge kind of career decision. I'm going to begin pursuing doing EMDR therapy with people, kind of an unconventional way. I probably should call it bilateral stimulation for legal reasons, but it's an incredibly powerful form of therapy, and it's kind of a tall hill that I'll be climbing in terms of getting a lot of practice. And I figured out that I can do it via distance. It does bring your shit up, but it's really, really effective at helping your brain release things that have been misfiled. Talk about filing, like trauma. It really helps trauma. It's like one of the problems with trauma is that we file things in the wrong place and then they get stuck. That's how it was described to me. And EMDR helps you get it organized, get in touch with it, and then let it go. So that's a really big change. So stepping onto that path, and it's taking time. As I step onto that path and get comfortable with this change, the Jack of Clubs is going to bring us innovation, ideas, inspiration, creativity, and that is the fun and funniest Jack in the deck. He loves to have fun. He loves to be funny, doesn't take anything seriously. So I think with these changes that we're going to be going through, it speaks to some really wonderful new beginnings. So does that resonate with people? Are you experiencing any of that in your own life? We're not quite there yet as the USA, and of course in Scotland. You're just having to get all this tangential card information through the filter of reading for the United States. But hey, you saw the title and you're tuning in, so does anybody have any questions? I typically don't like to go too far out when I'm giving a reading. In fact, I was listening to, I heard just a little clip of a psychic, and a lot of psychics are saying this, who's going to win the election? And everybody's kind of getting, there's so much free will involved at this point that it's not clear. And there are a lot of forces at work. There's a lot happening, underneath, behind the scenes, da, 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 da. It's so layered that it's just not clear. I've felt for a long time that there won't be one on November 5th. And now with the hurricane, I just feel like if I were in charge, I would say, El Rey, good, a question. I would say, let's give these people 6 months to recover so that they can vote, because they can't, and a huge chunk of people have just been wiped out. Voters. It's like, what do you do with that? I don't know. Yeah. Yes, that's true, Graham. Oh, it's totally, yeah. They've been backroom deals for like over 100 years, I think. It's just gotten more corrupt and dark and shit. But I think there's a possibility we're moving towards less manipulation. Okay, but anyway, getting back to El Rey, what order would you put the impact of your cards, your sun, planetary ruler, and rising card? I think, yes, it is the Age of Truth. And just to read the comments for those that might not see these afterwards, my Scottish friend Graham says, got good friends in America, Plus, what affects you there, we get the backdraft from. Plus, it can all be applied to any situation. That's true. I would say it varies. It really varies. And you have to look at your own astrology chart. Like I have a stellium, I have 3 planets in Cancer. So it's Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. So my Jupiter, Mars, and Venus cards are more impactful in terms of how I navigate. And I could look at these 3 cards and say, oh, well, that really names my career. Yeah. Mars, what did I say? Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. So Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Yeah, that totally is a portrait of my career. And the decanate card, I never know how to say that. I think that's very important when it comes to relationships and how you relate to people. I think the rising card is very influential as a modus operandi, although I'm not sure of that. I know that's true for me, but that's because I don't have a planetary ruler. So I look at my Mercury card, and that's the 5 of spades, and that's definitely how I navigate. I'm very ADD. I have 2 stelliums, 1st and 7th house. Yeah, so you would also take that into account. You know, anything that, you know, since the 1st house is the house of self and is ruled by, what is it, Aries or Mars or whatever, you'd think about the Mars card with that. And the 7th house relationship, well, you'd look at your Venus cards and you would look at the hearts in your hand. So it gets, you know, it's not linear, really. It's, I would say it, number one, depends on your soul mission. So you know, Venus doesn't stand out for me per se when I look at my astrology chart, other than being in that, you know, stellium. But the Jack of Hearts is probably the most important card in my deck in terms of my value system. But I am the 7 of diamonds. I am just through and through. And as a Leo, it's like I'm a double 7 of diamonds. Graham, rising card, how is that calculated? Yes, what is your ascending? What do they call it? What's your ascendant? Yeah, your rising sign. Right, I'm Virgo rising, so it's my Mercury card. Right, and so what's your rising sign? And we'll look at both the descending and the ascending. So that adds a whole new layer that's really fun to look at, because then it's not like we tend to sort of get into a pretty fixed narrative about ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses. And like that 5 of spades, I said, oh, I'm so ADD. But the truth is, and especially when I turn that, okay, I'm the 7 of diamonds, 5 of spades, when that becomes my moon card in my ascending hand going that way, then it's the quiet presence in my back pocket. My guides told me the 5 of spades is presence. It can be frenetic because it's trying to attune to everything around it. But how do you do that? You breathe, you kind of merge with the field. Graham, mine is Cancer, so mine would be the moon card, right? So your rising card, if you want to call it that, would be both the Ace of Spades and the 5 of Clubs. So I would look into that. And El Rey, I'm sorry, I always forget is it just Ray? Your given name? Okay, Capricorn rising, and you're the 2 of spades, right? So Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, 10 of clubs would be the descending. And that just, it's like, wear that for a second, like, I'm the 10 of clubs. And then go the other direction, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Your ascending would be the 2 of clubs. Isn't that fun to think about? It's like, ooh, I am the conversationalist. Hey, the Queen of Clubs is here. Hey, what's up? So we're talking about rising cards at the moment. What is your rising sign, dear Dr. Sue? Okay, so continuing with the United States. How might the Jack of Clubs and the 5 of Diamonds impact? I don't want to talk about the election. I just want to talk about as we're going forward into this. Yeah, I know you're 12/6, but what's your rising sign? What was the constellation on the horizon when you were born? If you don't know it, it's no worries. It's not a big deal. Oh, El Rey, Queen of Diamonds. I live in the Saturn line. Oh, you're not the one that I thought you were. Oh, okay. He has a different moniker. You're the Queen of Diamonds. I live in the Saturn line. Yes. Oh, and you're best friends with the Two of Spades? Okay, so the Queen of Diamonds with Capricorn, big Saturn energy. Are you a really solid, slow-moving, deliberate, determined person with really good taste with decorating? Like, do you have a lot of Capricorn energy? So your Saturn card is the 7 of clubs. So are you unconventional, think outside the box, kind of a genius, sensitive to energy, maybe Reiki, massage, all of that? You can be? Okay. So your ascending Saturn would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the 10 of hearts. Wear that for a second. Are you 10 of hearts? It's a very sensitive card. The inner child hides in there and just says, I need to feel safe. I really care about what people say, and it affects me. And like, they're colorful, beautiful, wonderful people. They have this kind of intense relationship with introversion and extroversion. Like, they're called upon to be both in their lives, but they tend to kind of be one or the other. And so sometimes they have to have that external persona. But anyway, you love metaphysics. Well, that makes sense to me because you're Jupiter plus, or the cosmic moon. So you come down here, here's your descending Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn. That's what I call them. The 2 of clubs is karma to the Ace of Spades, and that's all about what's behind the veil. The 10 of hearts is your ascending Saturn. So you just go backwards, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So a 10 of hearts would say, the Queen of Diamonds is my Saturn, but it's descending Saturn. And I came up with all of this. So you're not going to find it out there, not likely anyway, although, ideas do kind of present themselves to the collective. So I don't own this, although Dr. Sue would say that I do. I never did get that copyright or that whatever trademark. Oh, look at this. The Jack. Yes. That's why you are you. Okay, the Jack of Clubs, the ascending Mars card, it's sitting in the real estate of the 6 of Spades. So, and Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds are karma. And we're displacing the mundane 6 of Spades, but sitting in the 9 of Spades real estate this year. Your ascendant's in Pisces. So Neptune for the Queen of Clubs. Sorry, ADD moment. Your descending Neptune is the 5 of Spades. Think about that. You're like really versatile. All Queen of Clubs are versatile though. And your other one would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. The 6 of Spades. Try that on, Dr. Sue. So what I'm saying is karma is due for the United States. The karmic bill is due. And we're talking Atlantis. We're talking the lies, the corruption, the disenfranchisement, the injustice, all the shit that this country is responsible for. And I would say the vast majority of Americans are good-hearted people. And we're all human, we all screw up and everything, but I would say the vast majority are just good people. So we might think about, how is karma going to come knocking? How is balance going to come about in my life? What needs to be exposed? It's like looking at the big stage, looking at the corruption that's been exposed in the last couple months, like with P. Diddy and all the people that he hung out with. And it's like, when are you going to indict them? When does the black book for Epstein come out? Let's look at the trail. There are photos. They're all over the place. It's obvious. It's been obvious to those who are looking. So anyway, how is your personal karma coming due? How can you expose corruption within yourself? How can you expose maybe some mixed motives? And oh my God, totally happened to me the other day. And I've been on the outs with a very dear friend of mine. And I wasn't completely honest with her when she's like, what's wrong with our friendship? And so, like, 2 months later, I'm laying there in bed going, I'm really pissed at you about that. I wasn't completely honest with you. And I felt my inner child felt so vindicated for naming it. And then I thought, maybe I need to tell her that at some point. If we want healing, I need to, but I trust the timing on that. So coming clean. We want the nation to come clean. We need to come clean. Let's not take our example and get tacit permission from corrupt management. It's like people always reflect. Like, why do people cheat on their taxes? Well, because Big Daddy's cheating, Anyway, do you guys want to look at Jupiter? Do cars go retrograde? That's a great idea. Let's test it out. Let's do the mystic taste. So, when the moon is retrograde, think about how your moon card, like, what is retrograde about? It's about looking within, dealing with the past, dealing with the kind of, the shit. So look at your moon card in terms of that, or when Saturn is retrograde. So does anybody know if anything's retrograde right now? And if so, we could do a study with that. Oh, I love these questions because that's how we really get a handle on the system. If it's this feedback, where we talk to it and it talks to us, and it's like, woo, we discover things. The moon for I meant Mercury. They're both so tiny. Oh, you're absolutely right, my Scottish friend. The moon never goes retrograde. But its nodes almost always are. Oh, see, I don't know enough about astrology to know about that. So the nodes, that's a fascinating subject too. There's a huge overlay you can do with astrology. So yeah, so my south node is in Scorpio and my north node is in Taurus. So I could look at my Mars and Pluto in terms of the south node is like stuff that you already know. It's like represents past life stuff. So I could look at Mars and Pluto, which are ruled by Scorpio, and go, oh, these are things that are very familiar to me. Yes, they are. Ascending, not so much. Those are new to me. Both of those, 3 of diamonds, 3 of hearts. And then the north node, Taurus, Venus. You can look at the Venus cards and go, okay, there's a real strong pull. There's a magnetizing energy in my life pulling me towards the Jack of Hearts and the Ace of Spades. Well, the card system is the Ace of Spades and the Jack of Hearts is Jesus. So it's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's an irresistible magnetism. Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. Right now? Oh my God. Oh, it just makes me tired. That's a lot of digging. You were born during Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto retrograde. No way. Crazy period of your life then. Like, is shit getting real? People born under retrogrades usually like it when it goes retrograde. Like when Mercury goes retrograde, I don't have near the problems that other people have because I was born in Mercury retrograde. So maybe that's kind of why I look at things backwards and upside down a little bit. You feel like you're becoming your true self at this moment. That's beautiful. And how old are you? Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I feel like I'm on a path to breaking through to that. I'm 58, and it feels like ever since I turned 56 and started that new 7-year cycle, it just feels like it's been kind of uphill. It feels like a homecoming. Oh, that's great. And 35 means you're out of the 7-year Saturn influence. Nice. Right. You really have been in a Saturn study, haven't you? And the Queen of Diamonds, she gets Saturn. You know, I have my counselor friend, therapist, EMDR wizard. She's the Queen of Diamonds, and she's a really studied and practiced Buddhist. And the acceptance of the unpleasant is something that she masters in and helps you come to peace with it. And I think that's kind of a Saturn thing. It's accepting those things we cannot change. You've got to be a grown up to just like look it in the face and be like, yep, this is how it is. This is also your Jupiter return. Yes. And when you turn 39, you have 13 years of Jupiter influence. Yeah, you're taking off. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Should I call you El Rey? You're Capricorn rising with Saturn, Neptune, Uranus in the first house. Wow. Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. So unconventional solutions. Graham. Okay, so I'm going to think of my favorite Scottish accent is James Bond, Sean Connery. Having my third Uranus opposition due to its being retrograde and swinging back and forth. Tough stuff. Was that better? That wasn't quite so Irish. You're having your third Uranus opposition. Oh. Oh, yeah, because it's going, bang, bang, bang. I can't decide. Oh, 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 oh. And meanwhile, you're like, oh, you keep scraping that thing that's in there that needs to be scraped. So your Uranus card would be very affected. So let's look at your descending Uranus is the 9, like a drunk groundskeeper, really. Okay, I will accept that. I'm getting closer. Okay, so the 9 of clubs, coming to an end of an old way of thinking. Is that what the Uranus retrogrades are about for you? Is your descending Uranus? Let go of that. Let go of that. That's what I thought. I believed. I got to let go of that. Is it like open at the top, welcoming all kinds of new ideas, kind of an exciting thing, which will have a relationship to Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus? Is that really true? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Yeah, the King of Spades is your ascending Uranus. So your arena of genius could be about, I know what to take responsibility for and what not to take responsibility for. I really am capable of leadership and seeing the big picture. So when I let go of all these old ideas I don't need anymore, maybe I can really step into this, you know, getting comfortable with the power position, leadership, or just sometimes it's saying no to responsibility or saying, hey, that's your stuff. I'm not going to wear that. Let's look at Jupiter for the United States. I think business looks good coming up. So Jupiter descending is the 2 of diamonds. When does this happen, Paula? Paula? Where did my little cheat sheet go for? It's blue. Maisie, have you seen it? Maisie, come here. Say hi to everybody. Oh, she's the 3 of hearts. Have you seen it? She's all Mercury, man. Never had a more ADD dog in my life. But let's see. I'm going to look at 4th of July. I see the comments. I'll read them in a second. Okay, we leave Mars and go into Jupiter on December 7th. And we've got 2 of diamonds having a conversation with the King of Spades. So King of Spades is we need to own our shit, take responsibility, maybe take a leadership position in the world or in our own lives, get our ducks in a row. And then that 2 of diamonds is, okay, I have a friend who is wanting the things as me, but there's an alliance. Maybe it's that 2 of diamonds is coming into alignment with your own value system and really honoring that and moving forward. You have a black lab too. She's a silver lab, but the big old black lab is in the way back. Mr. Gentleman. Mary Suzanne Garvey. Yes, it's so great to see you here too. Chaley says hello. Okay, wait, I'm backing up to, so Graham said, like a drunk groundskeeper, because she's in Scotland. It's after midnight. And I've been attempting a Scottish accent. Yep, total self-discovery. And in the last 3 years, I've completely changed direction in life and started studying Hellenistic astrology. Oh my God, that's so freaking cool. Wow, so that Uranus card is really, really like scraping off the dross and helping you to find the gold. That's, oh, you're a he, Graham, sorry. Keep laughing. Okay, Shaylee says hello. When's your birthday? Hello, beautiful sunflower. Coach Allie's Corner. Coach Allie, do you, yes, I do personal readings, trying to figure out why I'm being tested with luck as I'm approaching my 35th birthday. 3 of Clubs, Libra. Oh, I love Libra. So October 19th is also my husband's birthday. It's complicated, isn't it? It's intense. I would say that's a very intense intersection. Saturn and Mars, vertical Mars, finding the true role of the vertical. I always think of as like the divine energy. So reaching for the divine energy of Mars. Is it anger? Is it passionately doing what we really, really love? So yes, I do personal readings, and I'm going to go ahead because I have such a small following. I'm just going to put my number here. Just text me 97. And if you go to my website, which is listed below, my website is it is kismet.com. And you can find the readings page and it'll tell you the same thing. Just text me, but it might give you a little more helpful information about what a reading entails and and the sliding scale, all of that. And you can also look up your card. The reports that I wrote are pretty comprehensive. The products on there, you can get a whole kit that's like, how do I be with myself? How are other people with me? What are some key questions I should ask myself? So I customized 52 of these kits for each person. And anyway, the reports are really cheap just to get just a single report on your card. So it makes a really good Christmas gift too. Just here's like, ooh, I pulled this report off this thing and like, make it look nice and give it to them. And, I mean, if it's accurate, if it's good. And I stand behind my work. I think they're all pretty darn good. Although there are some cards that are very rare. And so I had to like study famous people to really figure out what those cards are. And I'm still learning about those, like 3 of Hearts, 2 of Hearts. Okay. What's your black lad's name, Graham? Dr. Sue says, I think Jupiter is in retrograde. It is. Shaylee, I purchased my report and it was great, but the file corrupted and I was super sad about that. Hey, Shaylee, email me. Is email listed below? I can't see what's below the video, but I'm going to give you my personal email and I will send you another report just from my computer. So I didn't mean for that to be all caps, but that's my personal email. Illuminate today. Just shoot me an email or a text. Shoot me a text because I never check my email. It's like, well, I have enough things to worry about. Yeah, you bet. When's your birthday? Maybe I'll send you an additional report as an apology. So just tell me like when your birthday is and I'll send you your planetary ruler too. Oh, I have 7 likes for 7 viewers. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, honey, are you hungry? You gotta go potty? She's feeling pretty urgent. Come here. Come here. Silver beauty. Okay, so the Jupiter period, yeah, that 2 of diamonds, I think that's really good for business. Oh, you're the 7 of diamonds. Okay, you're also the king of diamonds, right? Yes, and your ascending planetary ruler is the Ace of Clubs, so think about that. And, oh, thank you. Yes, she is beautiful. Her name is Maisie, which I think is Celtic for pearl. Isn't that lovely? I don't have any Irish or Scottish or anything like that in me. I'm just boring German mostly. Probably a little Tibetan. I don't know. Mongolian perhaps. You never knew about the ascending. I know it's this whole reframe of let's look at our potential. It's like cards for self-actualization. Your mother is Austrian? Oh, that's so nice. We're all mixed, aren't we? Well, I think I'm going to close this out unless I get some other questions. Does anybody have any like really urgent questions or something you need to know about? Because I think my dog needs something and I'm feeling drawn away. Hey, Cecilia, Jack of Hearts, big hug. Jack of Hearts, you guys are kind of rare. What's that like? I was just talking about that the other day. What's it like to be? Yeah, so my husband, sometimes he prompts me just because he's just so loving. Okay, good. Bedtime for you. Yes, it's after midnight for you. Isn't it like 12:47? Good night and blessings. Slap lekker. That means sleep deliciously in Flemish. Jack of Hearts, yeah, sometimes he just throws these questions out to just get me going, and it's his way of saying, I really respect what you do. Very scientific and all, but he can see that it's relevant. So he'll be like, so how are the jacks different from each other? And I was like, well, the Jack of Hearts is going to be much more sensitive. So like they all have that like impulsivity, mischief, creativity, irresponsibility. All jacks have that. But females and the Jack of Hearts are much less likely to be like irresponsible like that. They're so sensitive to other people's feelings that they tend to sort of become, yes, yes, I'll do that, and I'll take care of you, and I'll take care of you. But I think they also can have a very sweet sense of humor because they get human nature. Cecilia, and my husband is King of Hearts. That's awesome. King of Hearts, I have a high degree of respect for the evolved King of Hearts. They are truly gracious. And so you guys have a Jupiter connection, don't you? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. So I would say you have a Jupiter connection, and I wouldn't really discriminate between who's descending and who's ascending. There's this, you're setting an example for him as the ascending Jack of Hearts. How can that King of Hearts reach more deeply into his less responsible side? And how can he create and be fun and play? Because with that Mars line descending, there's this, I have to be practical and pragmatic. Chaley, the Seven of Diamonds, says, I have 2 siblings and my mom that are the King of Hearts. Oh, so a little nexus around, and my brother's the King of Hearts, and I admire him very much. December 24th. Yeah, they're very responsible and pragmatic, but they also are very emotionally intelligent. I mean, that's the deal, right? Yes, we share the Queen of Hearts in the spiritual spread. Yeah, right? We don't think about that enough. I don't think about that enough. Look, find your card and give yourself a reading with the spiritual spread. I've done that before, and I'm like, I really resonate with that. I am really generous in relationships. 9 of Diamonds and Venus, and it's a beautiful journey to take. So, right, the card in between you would be this, dare I say, sexuality and emotional intimacy and a sense of being understood are all kind of commingled, or the potential for that would be there. That's wonderful. I think my husband is home. Oh, this is so fun. It's just starting to cook. It always gets lively around this time because more people find me, and then we're like, blah, 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 Ginger. Okay, I'm going to actually attempt to schedule my next reading. Maybe Friday or Saturday. I tend to like to do it earlier in the day, and we can just see how that works. But this is a Monday at 5:50 Mountain Time. Yeah, people are getting home from work. That's why they're showing up. Okay, I'll try to make it more like later in the day to see if we can catch more people. But anyway, it's been so wonderful. Thank you for so kindly sharing your questions and your insights and your life with me. It's just so much fun. And check out my seriously, just go to itiskismet.com, look up your card, and just play with the website a little bit. I have a special in there from last July, which is completely irrelevant now. But anyway, thank you. I think you're amazing too. So yes, have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.